Hey folks, Rob here, bringing you another video. This one's going to be a bit different. It's going to be a campaign game, and this is one that Dave and I are playing together via Vassal. So we're going to give this one a go. It's Valor of the Guards Campaign Game 1, which is the small one. It only covers a small portion of the map, as you can see here. I'm playing the Germans as per, and Dave is playing the Russians. So this is my purchases for the day. I bought a Stuka Rifle Company, an 80 mortar with an off-board observer, and a increase to my sniper because I only started with a 3 sniper, and which is funny because we rolled a lot of 3s, and if I would have not paid this extra, I probably would have got another half dozen or so sniper checks than what I already did. In terms of completion, not too bad. My first rifle company was really depleted, moderately depleted, and then my Stoss troop was light, and aside from that, it was pretty good going. I did get a full rifle company in support, and so they were able to start on board and all that. And I did get a pre-registered hex, which is barrage capable, D38. Now D38, it was supposed to be this hex right here, and my offboard observer is sitting at A39 right here. So my plan was to drop a smoke barrage here, thinking that this is where they might set up, or in the rail car behind, and this would give me a good leaping point to come into the first row of rail cars and houses. But given Dave's dispersed setup, my barrage capable hex isn't going to work. I could have used this to drop a spotting round with the intention of landing on these guys, but it is the first turn, and of course everything is concealed on the Russian side. So there's me with my 80 millimeter mortar, and don't I get a black off the start, and then I get a red for my second chit because you have to do a second chit draw. So yeah, the OBA didn't go off in the first turn. It's only 80 millimeter, but again, 80 is still something. And when you're talking roofless buildings, like there's a lot of them in Valor of the Guards, you still have quite an impact because the IFT is only going to give them a +2 TEM to the barrage. So it's any rate, that didn't go off as planned. And then I did buy the 3 Stuka module. This one costs 6 points. So every turn I get anywhere from 0 to 3. D6 have it rounding down, and then that's per turn. So on the first turn I only had the 1. We played 2 turns, and on the second turn I unfortunately rolled a 1, and therefore it was 0 planes that ended up coming in that second turn. So overall, my plan was that I would attack from the north and from the west. These guys here were pretty much a holding force. Once I saw that Dave had a pillbox as well as a couple of trenches of dudes in the south, I realized there's no way I can cross this section of road to push south of Kubinskaya. And so therefore these guys are more or less just a holding force to make sure he doesn't sneak in the back way and steal map edges. Map edges are very important in this game because if you can limit them, then they won't be able to come in and disrupt your plans in those hexes. So for example, if I lose this section up here of maps, that's 4 less hexes rows that I can come in if I want to do a nice push. So it just means I have to walk a little bit farther. This area here is really interesting. What happens? We're going to show you a little bit of that because Dave also bought OBA, which is 120 millimeter, and it did quite the number on both of us. So it was a little bit of hit and miss there. But yeah, so my plan was I have Pioneers here. My Stoss troop is here. I've got my second purchase rifle company here with one of the Stugs. And this is the one that I was initially given. So these guys are going to push something like that. I would bust through this group of 4 with my Pioneers and my Stoss troop, and then I can attack the railway station from the north. Meanwhile, these guys are just going to push through this way into the school home, as well as attacking it from the south. So that was my general plan for my my attack. Dave, based on what we played so far, is willing to give up ground to skulk and deny me those shots for my Death Stars. I got one here, a medium and a heavy, and I have another one here, a medium and a heavy, so 20 firepower. only 8 if it's concealed, which we'll do a number on his units. So it makes sense that you would pull back and not put yourself in that kind of a shot position. But yes, that's the plan that the Germans had, and those are the purchases that I had. Right, so we can see the first little bit of action here. Everything prepped. Very minimal results. I had my Death Star. I was able to kill these guys, but then they were still able, from this 1447 that was unconcealed, able to rip this guy apart. So they had to retreat, which kind of opened up my north edge. I realized it's only a squad, and most of my force is to the left of that, but it still hurt. I was trying to get into this location here, just using normal movement. It would have been 6 movement factors, because 2 for the debris, 3 for the wall, and then because it's a roofless building, it costs another 3 to get into it. So there would have been CX sitting in L36. And then this was here, but they never made it that far. They got tagged by this guy here. And there's no dash because of the debris. I could have gone through the open, which might have been a bad idea. This guy here would have been on the 2 down 2 rather than on the 4 down 1. So actually, no, 4 flat, because I was mistaken. Debris gives you a +1 TM. At any rate, my attack in the northwest didn't go off as planned either. I was able to get a smoke grenade, but now I'm stuck on the road. And he's got 2 squads here. He's got 2 squads are going to be here, I believe. And they're just going to rip me a new one down there, because again, my ineffective fire just wasn't there. And I'm starting to make roads, inroads into this area here, these group of houses. And here we go into the close combat phase. So you can see on turn 1, I've already in combat. I got a concealed fire for 8 versus 2 squads. Didn't really end up too well for me. This one here, however, was phenomenal. There's 1 squad, and because I'm concealed and have a 9-1, I had a -3 to my ambush. I get ambush hand to hand, and I kill his unit that is here. Right, again, Russian prep fire. The only thing Dave had from his pillbox, because of my placement, was my 2 units here, which, of course, don't they break from the shot, and the half squad that had made it to C44 broken ended up retreating to this location. I probably should have run this way, but because per rules, this would be the closest. You have to go there. And you can see, again, Dave is starting to fall back, giving me lots of space to get up to the factory. Now, you think that's a great thing, except remember, this factory is an NKVD historical strongpoint because you got NKVD troops in there. So it's a fortified location with 8 morale troops, and I can't have any lines of sight because there's no elevation on the left side to shoot him, even over the rubble. So I have to get adjacent to him, withstand any kind of fire that he might throw at me, and then I have to try and shoot him down. So it's very difficult to assault the railway, which is one reason why they ignored it in the actual history. They the first unit bypassed it to the north rather than take this thing head on. And unfortunately, it was, I think, the 191st that had to tackle the railway. Basically, like I said, you have to get strong units in these locations here, and then you have to start whittling them down, because fortified, you cannot enter that location. So I got my spotting round down. I'm playing around with my 1 Stuka that I had, and I'm thinking, do I go for the immobilized T-34 just for the easy kill, because it would have been a -3 or 4, I think it was, for my task check, which means anything but a 12. I would have hit the T-34, but because it's not impacting anything right now, I figured I'm going to get this every turn. I can save it for later. So I end up moving the plane to the north, and I try and take on one of these stacks again. This one right here. Now the problem is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So I have units within 4 hexes, which means it's a +1 for my sighting task check, which I roll a 9. So the base morale is 8. We're looking at not completely concealed is a -1, I think. Being in rubble is a +3. And because they moved into a hex location, it ended up being a net -2. with a +1. So it wasn't a great roll, and I basically lost my air support because it was ineffective. So it was a very short turn for the Russians. Most of his movement was to the rear, and then he's going to advance forward into the Skulk. So there he comes back into position. He starts filtering more units into other existing combats. And then we do the, you can see here that my squad 548 died. It managed to be a half squad at the end of the first German turn, and then it was destroyed in the later half. I even fired my Stug onto that location, thinking he's going to get killed anyways. Try and do it. Don't I roll a boxcar for him to attack this guy, which I'm going to do this turn right now, which would have been so sweet. 3 squads and a +2 fortification. And I've got a 12 firepower with my Stug, so it would have been really nice to get that shot off, but it never panned out. That's my FFE, came down right there. I rolled Snake Eye, or a 3. If I would have rolled Snake Eyes, I would have had a chance of rubbling this building because it's an 80 millimeter, it's on the 16. And the way it works is if you get a KIA, there's a chance of rubble. You just roll a die and it has to be less than or equal to, or it has to be less than that number to rubble. And I rolled a 1K, a 1 KIA result, which unfortunately, because Stone gets a +1 for rubbling, means that basically there's no chance that I could rubble it. Which is too bad. It would have been nice to rubble the one building, maybe even start a fire. There goes my gun. And I start to infiltrate the rail cars. Now comes the fun one. I'm start moving in again. I actually made it there. He let me live this time. And this is where Dave had a run of bad luck. So this is his 120 millimeter OBA. And he tries to land it on my guy. Yes, he's aware there's a Russian in location, but it's only one squad. And if he can break this, maybe even deviate over here somewhere, get those two, then it'll be that much better. Unfortunately, it doesn't do that. It comes back one. So it lands on his own unit. It takes this guy out, and I think it only pins one of my guys. I think they were fine. Actually, this guy got broken, I believe. But it was more deadly to the Russians, their own artillery. And of course, when you do that, you get a -1 to your morale checks because it's friendly fire. So I ELR'd is 10-0 Commissar. Everything there was pretty well broken. One squad is pinned, and I broke my guy. Now, very accurate defending fire. Again, he has his 3 squads. They broke a 548, which was going to throw a DC. I completely forgot to move him in the movement phase and throw the DC. As it panned out, it didn't matter because they would have broken anyways. They were not in a position to fire the DC. So I was going to try and get some encirclement fire going this way with this squad and this squad, but again, he broke it. So that's just the way it works. Right, so his guys retreat again instead of facing me. They skulk back. Why present yourself a target again? Here I've got 20 firepower with the 2 support weapons and the 2 squads, and he's only got a 527 here, so he doesn't want to keep that position. He wants to move on his turn as much as possible. So then we get into the Russian turn. And this is where things up north start to go bad for me because he's got an FFE2. He adjusts, doesn't land on my Death Star, which of course breaks everything. Now they're under an FFE2. It's going to be a continuation at the end. He's going to land right on target. I'm pretty well stuck because if I move anywhere, I'm going to be attacked by it. And I can't exit the buildings because I'm going to get shot up. So these guys here are pretty well dead, even if he doesn't get artillery. And speaking of artillery, um, Dave had scarce ammunition, so he actually had 5 black and 3 red. Normally it's 5 and 2, and because he never pre-registered and he wasn't plentiful ammunition, he was scarce. He ended up having 5 and 3. So there's me with my 10 and 3. I draw black and then I draw red for my second chit draw. He draws black. Doesn't he draw red for his second chit draw as well? Or sorry, doesn't he draw black for his second chit draw? So he's got 5 blacks and he drew 2 of them. I've got 10 blacks and I only drew 1 in 2 draws. So it was kind of funny how the OBA, hit and miss. But it is now very accurate and it's sitting on top of my Death Star. Right, so this was a bang up shot by my Berserk 467. I broke all 3 squads and I disrupted the 426. So ELR to 527 or 447 to a 426, and I disrupted another one. So given the position, the Germans here, the tanks here, and these guys here, I just killed 3 squads, failure to route in the route phase, so that's not too bad. But again, that's a trade-off because I've lost my fire support, and now this whole northeast sector is going to be exposed once this guy breaks. Actually, no, he dies in close combat. And there I tag is guys in the building with my with my Death Star, but again, my roll was really poor. It would have been on the 8 table up 3, and there's nothing in the way in terms of obstacles, although there is a debris here I forgot to add, I think. That would have been +1, +5, -1 would have been actually a +4, so either way, my roll was garbage. Right, so now he has to run, get out of the FFE, and he sends his units into close combat. One's concealed, one's not. And again, Russians are stealthy when it comes, well, first line and elite are stealthy when it comes to close combats. Now, here's some, Dave wasn't aware of this. He moved this unit in here, but because this is an NKVD strong point, because you have NKVD and a commissar, you're not allowed to leave this building unless you're Berserk. So he's going to have to take that move back, and which is something that he hadn't planned on. He would have been able to occupy these, 1-to-1 odds at 66, maybe even get ambushed because he's a second line. He wouldn't get stealthy, but there's still a chance of him killing my guys in ambush. And because of that rule, the historical strong point NKVD rule, they have to end up retreating, so they go back instead. Right, the melee here, he doesn't do anything to me. I managed to kill a 447. And then this one here, he gets ambush. He rolled a 2 with a -2 because he had a conscript as a +1 for being lax, but he was stealthy, so it's a -2. So actually, yeah, so it would have been a net +1. He rolled a 3. Me, because I was CX, I'm a 7. So he got ambush on me, and of course he wipes me out with his 6 rolls. So the what did he have? 8 to 4. So he's at 2 to 1. He needed a 7, but he used hand to hand because he had ambush with a -2 because again I'm CX'd and he had ambush. Therefore he would be a 11 or less, and he would cause an effect. He rolled a 6, so my guy is dead. And now I'm really in the hurt locker up here in the northeast. All I have is a single 4-6-7 facing an artillery barrage and a 9-1 with a broken squad here. These guys will become DM at the beginning of the next turn. And there he goes. And there we are into the German turn 3. All right, so like I said, not horrible. I'm facing the factory at the start of turn 3, which is good. I'm in position to start whittling these guys down here as best possible. This guy's got an excellent shot into the rear, so I basically got this under a lot of fire. It's going to be my turn, which means with any luck I'll be able to pin him, and then I can start jumping into hand-to-hand. So I hope to have units inside the railway station by the end of turn 2, and hopefully they live for a little bit longer before they get in there. In the north, this here is gone swimmingly. I ended up losing 2 squads. Both my Stoss troop are dead, and but everything else is fine, including my flamethrower. Once I bring it back, it's broken now, but I'm going to be bringing that in here, and it's going to be doing some flame actions. And then I got to decide what to do with my armor, because this area is so dense to move through. I'd have to risk bogging in something around here. I could maybe come in this way, work my way up through all this rubble into something like this, come around here. I can't remember if this is open or not. Maybe it's not, but maybe have to get stuck in this debris here. But if I can come here, that would be really nice to apply pressure to this strong point here. But this really hurts. Really hurts. This guy has to rally. He has to bring somebody back, because we're going to get bombarded by a 447 and a concealed 426, let alone this guy right here. So, or let alone the FFE, which is going to be sitting on his ass and pounding it. So hopefully, because it is a FFE continuation, hopefully the he draws red shit and I can get this out of my face. But a very effective OBA eventually. The first turn hurt him. The second round of OBA, the FFE2, ended up really putting me in the hurt locker. So my northeast is collapsed, but I'm in breathing space of the railway station. So just want to give a quick overview of Valor of the Guards campaign game 1. So we're going to be doing 15 to 22 September. This is the 15th, and it is the daytime German attack. Now, I do have to worry about a nighttime attack on the 15th, because that's historically what happened. They get a -2 historical barrel modifier. They don't have to worry about their 426s and NKVD anymore. In terms of purchases, Dave bought a second rifle company, 447s, not an NKVD company, which the lack of numbers maybe will hurt him in the long run. We'll see, because he only allowed to get NKVD, I believe, on the daytime for 15 September. Maybe the nighttime, but I'm not sure about that. But you don't want conscripts running around that night, because they only have 3 move. And with night rules, every obstacle, building, what have you, is going to be an extra move. So it already costs 3 to enter a roofless building. Now it's 4. At night, conscripts only have a 3 or CX every time you move, and you can't advance without becoming TI. So it's I doubt he's going to use his NKVD anymore. He's just going to use 447. So we'll see how that goes. But one thing I'm really worried about is I must get into these 2 locations at least, so I can cover the square with fire. Maybe park my tank right in the middle between the 2, and then I just got to withstand a night assault, which would be pretty lethal, I think. But yeah, I wanted to give you guys an overview of what Dave and I did last night. So I'm not sure when we're going to get back to this, maybe today or tomorrow. But I'll be teasing these dribs and drabs out as they happen. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.